Hello and welcome to the Meeting Gold podcast. I am so fired up. Vany, you were doing push-ups before this podcast started.
I got to match your energy.
We got to get the energy up. Do you want to move the mic just a little bit closer? Wherever it's comfortable. You're cool
good?
with it. Yeah, that's probably
Better?
good. Yeah, man.
Okay.
That's awesome. Good? All right. Listen, we are so stoked to have Vany here today. Really exciting. You match. I mean, you're 32. You're not young, but you're not old. But you match an 18-year-old's energy here.
I'm gonna get hurt, you know.
That's perfect. Vany, man, thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure.
Funny story. Vany didn't know that we were here in Niagara, so he came from Vaughan an hour just to come on the podcast when he could have rescheduled. So we really appreciate that. That means a lot to us.
My pleasure.
Especially because, some guys would do that in St. Catharines, but you drove all the way out here, made it out here. So that does mean a lot. We're going to unpack everything that Vany's been doing. You were talking about nightclubs. You were talking about real estate, property development, building condos, semi-pro almost in soccer. Then mishap happened. We're going to dive all into that today. But Vany, before we unpack all of that, can you give us a little rundown of like who you are, where you came from, and what you're doing now?
Yeah. So my family's from Iraq. I was born in Baghdad.
Yep.
From Iraq, we moved to Syria, Jordan, Turkey, Greece, and then I moved to
Holy
Toronto.
smokes. You were everywhere.
Everywhere, because the war was happening in Iraq at the time, right? So we had to flee countries, refugee status, this and that. Funny joke, it's not funny, but my dad paid pirates to take us from Turkey to Greece on a boat.
Are you serious?
I swear to God. And
just to flee the country?
Just to flee Turkey to get into Greece.
Oh my word.
My dad paid pirates on a boat to take my entire family into Greece. And the only reason we knew we were in Greece was because my dad speaks Greek fluently and he reads it.
Right.
And the only reason we knew we were in Greece because they dropped us off at night was because the power lines were in Greek writing.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So wait. So you didn't even know really where you were headed?
I was a baby, but these are stories that they're telling me, right? And coming from that kind of background and the hardships that my parents came through with no money coming here, it kind of taught me to kind of persevere and create something for myself.
Yeah.
Right?
And the value of $1, honestly.
Absolutely. And, we came to Brampton. My dad's brother lived here and he kind of sponsored us. So, growing up in Brampton, Ontario, moved around a lot. Went to a lot of different schools, played soccer growing up as well. Yeah. And eventually I started, my brother started an all ages promotion company called UT Events Untouchables.
UT Events Untouchables.
Yeah. So Untouchable Events. And
gotcha.
he was 18 at the time and I was only 14 at the time. So I was grade 7 going to grade 8.
So you're still young, and so is he.
Yeah. He's still young. He's only 4 years older than me.
Yeah. And
I started doing all ages promotions, grade 7 going to grade 8. So I was selling tickets to all ages events at the time.
You're kidding me. Oh my God.
I'm not kidding you. And we kind of grew and developed this company into literally the biggest company in Ontario. We were doing anywhere from 14 to 18 events a year.
Holy smokes. And huge events.
Yeah. Our biggest events were 8,000 people.
Wow.
At government, right? And I was managing the entire team at the time. I was dealing with the marketing, the promotions, the handing distribution of tickets, dealing with deposits with venues, cashing out with venues, sponsorships. I was dealing with all of that at 17, 18 years old, right? So after that, we kind of just wanted to get out of the all ages scene. So my brother managed and owned a few nightclubs in Toronto and one in Hamilton.
Yep.
Which I managed as well. At night, right? 2 were in downtown, 1 was Hamilton, and we were doing that for about 3 years, and then eventually it gets tiring, man. You're out every night, 4 nights a week till 5 in the morning. You're getting home, you're going to bed, you wake up at noon.
Because you're managing the nightclub. At this time, you're a jack of all trades with your brother, right?
So you're cashing out all these girls that are doing the bottle service, and they're leaving at 4 or 5 in the morning. By the time you get home, go to sleep, it's not a lifestyle you really want to live, you know?
Yeah, you're sleeping during the day, and you're bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my whole mindset was, I know a shitload of people. You know, I like my Facebook friends is full. I have 5,000 friends on Facebook.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can I transition people to money? Right?
I've utilize those relationships.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I loved real estate. I love the architecture. I love the design. But most importantly, I love the art of negotiation. I love dealing with other agents and solidifying contracts and
like getting
and
creative
trying to
with
get
it. Yeah.
the best deal for my clients.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
That's what I love, right? And that's when I transitioned to becoming a real estate agent in 2012. And my brother is a property manager / developer.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you guys are kind of both running that. You kind of made a joke earlier, like the property brothers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
like the property brothers. Yeah.
That's I mean, that's a big story. Like, you know, my dad being an immigrant as well, he kind of taught me the value of a dollar from his parents. And so for you, like, I kind of see that is that your parents taught you what it means to like work every hour and get paid, you know, $3-4 an hour at the time. Like it wasn't, you know, I believe it. I wasn't through it, but it certainly wasn't easy. And so I definitely think that seems like it really helped you kind of have that motivation, that drive. Like, what were some lessons that your parents taught you coming from Iraq, coming from these hardship times to, you know, Canada, North America, to create a better life like millions way back when? What were some of those values that they really forced and taught you to have to this day?
Anybody that you know is Middle Eastern, their parents always say family comes first. And that's embedded. Like, I FaceTime my mom every day, sometimes twice a day. I swear. I FaceTime her all the time. I call her every day. I just ask her how her day is going. When I see her, I hug her for like 5 minutes straight, you know. Me and my dad is one of my best friends. You know, I'm cool with my sister. We're good friends.
So you've got a close-knit family.
Yeah, we're close-knit. And that's very, very important, especially in my Assyrian Iraqi culture. Family comes first. Second is work hard. Like just put your head down and work hard. And I feel like a lot of people have the stigma to, you know, like going on camera, for example. A lot of real estate agents or people, they feel vulnerable going on camera.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's like a nervous thing for them.
Yeah, it's like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Just go on camera, do what you need to do, sell your product, do your thing. Nobody's paying your bills at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know? Put your face out there. Let people know who you are, right? Because at the end of the day, in 4 years' time, that time's going to fly by anyway. So it's either you do it today or you do it, you know, in 4 years' time. But that time's going to fly by anyway. So, yeah.
That's, I mean, that's definitely an important value to hold. Now let's kind of dive into, you mentioned you were playing soccer heavily at the time.
Right.
And that was a dream of yours. And, and you were saying kind of still is if the opportunity was there.
Absolutely.
By any chance means necessary. But, kind of talk about like soccer as a young boy. How did you feel like with your family going through these hard times, trying to build a life for themselves? And you're out there, you're playing soccer, you're really trying to help your parents. What was that like? Like the pressure? Was it?
So my dad used to play internationally for Team Iraq.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Yeah, so my dad was on the Iraqi national soccer team.
So it's in the blood. It's in the blood,
yeah. Heavily. I played soccer since I was 13. I started playing soccer here when I was 13. I was on all my school teams, high school team, St. Margaret DeVille in Brampton. What up?
Yeah.
And
wherever you could play, right?
Yeah, wherever we could play. And I was playing rep soccer for Brampton East, provincially in the Ontario Soccer League.
Yep.
I got called up for the Team Canada tryouts, and that's where I got like pretty badly injured. And I stopped playing for a year and a half after that. And because I was in the nightclub scene at the time, you can understand
wasn't a good look.
Yeah, you can understand how like my shift focused a little bit. But yeah, soccer. So I love soccer. Like my favorite team is Manchester United. I'm a huge United fan.
Yeah.
My dad's been a United fan forever too, and that's been embedded in me too. So
you're stuck with that. Yeah.
Yeah, we love soccer, man. My dad took a summer off just to watch, like every time the World Cup Europe was on. He takes a leave of absence from work to watch the games.
Oh my word!
That's how heavily invested he is.
Yeah. So let's talk.
Hopefully his employer doesn't see this.
Hopefully not. But let's talk a little bit about because you keep bringing up the nightclubs. Like that was your big start into like being an entrepreneur, managing a team, dealing with some big bucks because you were probably doing decently well at the age that you were doing. Right. With these nightclubs, because I'm sure there's a lot of money in there, especially. Where were you doing them exactly? Like Toronto or?
So some of the venues we did was Circa Government Nightclub.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Traffic. We did some in Barrie. We had some in Hamilton. We were up in Pickering, Ajax, Mississauga. Like
so you were all over the place. So you certainly had those big events and the dollars you had to manage that you were bringing in, that the team was bringing in. What kind of sparked that entrepreneur mindset? Like, was it something that was just innately in you, do you feel? Or was it like seeing your brother kind of do this, making some money, you were like, I want to jump in? Or was he kind of like, Vany, you got to get in here, man. I need your help. What was that kind of like?
Well, this goes back to saying family first, right?
Yeah.
It's always a family business. So when my brother started doing it, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm on board. Like, let's kill this shit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And, we were pretty popular back then. Like a lot of people knew who we were, just from going to so many schools, right?
And soccer must have played it. Like you must have been, that helped getting popular and getting your name out there.
And that's what sparked the mindset. And once we started doing it, the ball just kept on rolling, and we started hiring. At one point, we had 300 people working for us in Ontario.
Are you serious?
Selling tickets. 300 promoters we had across Ontario selling tickets.
Wow. So that marketing was next level, like large. Oh, yeah. No questions asked.
Yeah. So the way we did things was a little bit different because a lot of other companies at the time that was doing these events, they were just hiring promoters that just sold tickets. But we had this crazy idea of saying there's so many up and coming DJs coming out, right? In Ontario at the time.
Right.
So I'm just like, why don't we hire these DJs to spin at these events for free and they'll sell tickets? Because DJs are the most popular people ever back in the day.
Right.
So we got these DJs that are selling tickets, okay? And they were pumping our events for us, and we weren't even charging them anything.
Wow.
Because they wanted to get people to come see them DJ.
Obviously, right?
So it was a huge turning point for us because we're like, these DJs want people to come see them DJ. They're popular. They're going to get a lot of people to come out. So we were leveraging DJs to bring people to our parties, whereas other companies were leveraging promoters.
Interesting. So you took a full swing at a completely different marketing plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think that, I mean, not even, it probably does, like help you in terms of the real estate realm? Big time?
Oh, big time. I mean, managing 300 promoters at the time, it's a toll, like even from money managing to promoting to marketing, to, making sure that everything is in order. It kind of relates to real estate. It's kind of similar in a way, right?
Yeah.
You got a property, you're trying to market it, you're trying to promote it, you're trying to find different ways to kind of sell this typical type of property. You're managing people, you're dealing with different personalities, you're handling money real estate. Like a lot of things were similar.
Yeah.
Right?
So it 100% prepared you for it.
Oh, 100%.
So let's talk a little bit about that because, transferring from, I guess, the nightclub / event scene, let's bring that into now real estate, right? That's when you were like, I'm going to transition into real estate. I don't like the nightclub life. It's too busy. It's just, I don't have a lot of time, especially because there was probably very little residual, right? So that was one of the things that you were maybe like, am I right in picking that out? Is that you were like, I can't really grow this without adding more stress to my life? Was that kind of the...
In terms of what? In terms of...
in terms of the growth of the nightclubs and stuff.
Yeah. So it was a lot. Like I started managing micromanagers that handled certain areas because between me and this awesome person, Alina, shout out Alina, I'm going to see this. Me and her were managing the entire team of 300 promoters, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So she was kind of handling the Toronto and like East End while I was handling the West End. So like Brampton, Mississauga, Milton, Kitchener, Waterloo, Hamilton, Niagara. Like I was handling this entire side. and she was handling all of the East End. So it was a big workload, like trying to meet up with like 100 people before an event to count tickets, make sure we get all the tickets back. Like it was a lot. So we started hiring managers for certain cities, and then we kind of developed this whole tier system, like from obviously like me and Alina, and then we had managers for the city. And then from those city managers, those other promoters used to have people working under them.
Wow.
So we created this whole like system and marketing plan in place to kind of alleviate and make it more streamlined, right? And mind you, like we were 17, 16, 18, and a lot of this was like kind of on the go. And
it's new to you. Like it was new. This is your first experience in marketing anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it definitely taught me a lot. And I think more so just like in real estate, they always say like no two deals are the same, because you never know what you're going to run into in real estate. And even at the time with the nightclub stuff, like you never know what you're running into.
That's true. Yeah. Right? So let me ask you this is, did you go to post-secondary, like college, university?
Never. No.
Really?
Never went to post-secondary. Right out of high school, I was doing all this club stuff. I was managing. You know, I definitely developed more street smarts than book smarts.
Yeah, and if you don't mind me asking, were you making enough at that time to be like, it doesn't make sense for me to go to school, or was it a little bit of a risk?
I have a different outlook on school than a lot of people do. I think that if you're not going to school for something very specific where you need a degree, I feel like you can learn a lot on your own.
I'd agree with you.
Right?
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, post-secondary is great. I feel like if there's one thing I missed out on that I would say is it's not really teaching you everything, but I think it's more so teaching you how to think, how to process information, how to input information. I think that's what post-secondary teaches you, right? Along with, deadlines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I learned all that in business because I was managing this all ages company.
And right? I feel like that made you, like, I'm just talking because I'm saying that because it's kind of similar to what I've been doing is you learn as you go. Right. And although there may be mistakes, you make them very quick. Exactly. And you might make like 20 mistakes in 5-6 months that you'll never make again, but that somebody going to post-secondary would make when they're 20, 25, 30, 40 years old. Right. And it's so much worse to make it then than it is at 16, 17, 18.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
So you never went to post-secondary, which is very interesting. I kind of have the same outlook on that as you do. Right. Kind of in that struggle boat right now, making that decision. But so let's talk a little bit about now coming into real estate. You got your real estate license, right?
2012.
In 2012. And then was it slow to start, or was it like you utilized and capitalized on those relationships from the nightclub and just right away?
Well, you got to understand that the 22, when I was still doing the all ages stuff, a lot of these promoters were a lot younger than me. Right.
Right.
They were like 16, 17, grade 9, 10s, 11s.
Oh my word.
Yeah. And, so it was just managing that team and all that. So, what were you asking exactly? What was the direct question?
Yeah. So it was basically just like coming into real estate. You went for your real estate license.
Right. Oh, was it slow?
The growth. Like, what was that like?
So, my age, that age group wasn't really into effect. I think I'm seeing more so the effect now, more so than ever, right? Because a lot of my age group is now buying. The average first-time buyer is 33 years old, right?
Oh, interesting. So you were so far ahead of the game, it almost made it hard.
I was fostering relationships from then until now, and right now I'm doing great because, again, a lot of people know me. They respect me for what I've done, and I just feel like fostering those relationships help a lot. But yeah, like my first deal was I was playing soccer out at a soccer field in Brampton, and this guy named Hugo, never forget him. We were just talking, he's like, I'm looking for a house. Never told him I was an agent yet. So I went up to him. I was like, hey, like we played soccer together a few times. He knew who I was. Yeah. I'm like, listen, I'm going to be very upfront with you. I just got my license 2 weeks ago. If you want to help me out in terms of me getting my first deal, like I'll do whatever I can to make sure that, this deal is going to go through for you. And next
That's
day,
open. Like, that's vulnerable.
yeah,
Not everybody would do
absolutely.
that.
You know, I'd rather be open with him and tell him like I just got my license and see if he wants to use me. And he called me the next day, be like, hey, listen, like I know you just got your license. Like everybody needs to start somewhere. So let's go ahead. Let's look for houses. So I ended up closing my first deal in real estate in 2 weeks within getting my license.
Oh my God.
Yeah. From
That's
soccer.
incredible.
Again, from soccer. Right? Yeah.
So utilizing those relationships. Now, obviously you're doing very well now. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
You just told me you built a condo, like condominiums.
No, we got a development going on.
Development
Hamilton.
going on.
Yeah, we
Gotcha.
got a development going on in Hamilton. It's called Jamesville Lofts. We still have about 5 or 6 units left out of the 40.
Yeah.
That's been some time in the making. It's a lot of headaches, man. Especially nowadays because the construction costs are so high, and the cost to build is very high. It's difficult to do things like this, right?
Right.
And if you don't own these pieces of property for years, it's very hard to develop now because the cost of buying pieces of land now, it doesn't really make sense to build.
It's like the margins are so small, right?
It's crazy. Yeah. Plus you got to apply for redevelopment. You got to get the permits. You have to go through city approvals. So even if you buy a piece of land for which, again, banks don't finance because it's commercial, you need like 50% down, right?
Wow.
So you need a lot of liquid cash, yes, right? But these banks won't finance you. So you got to hold on to this property for 2 years while you're getting permits. So you're paying for this property for 1 year, 2 years. You're trying to get permits, and then you get approvals. Then you got to...
And that's all while spending money. Not even making money.
You need a lot of liquid cash.
Yeah.
Tons of liquid cash to do these things, right?
Well, I want to say, like, congratulations on doing that. Sure, it's a headache right now, but I mean, you wouldn't be doing it if you didn't see the long-term gain.
Of course.
Right? So, congrats on that. I want to talk a little bit about, how did you use those relationships like that you had from the nightclubs, from playing soccer, all this kind of stuff? Like, you were a popular guy, but you can be popular and not really understand how to turn relationships into or further relationships into business relationships.
Right.
So talk a little bit about how you kind of utilize that. Was it just like, hey, I'm now a realtor, if you want to chat, I'd love to sit down and have a cup of coffee? Or was it like, I don't know, like kind of give me that rundown of what it looked like there.
You know what? I do a very good job with talking to everybody. I have my close group of friends,
right,
which is like 4 or 5 people, but I have a lot of groups of friends.
Like mutuals.
Yeah, mutuals. No, people I hang out with. I still see everybody. I still talk to everybody. And even like people that post stories, like you throw a fire emoji in there, you throw a thumbs up, you comment on their photos, right? Like this is all little things that take seconds and people appreciate it. You know, you're supporting others. Even a thumbs up on their picture is supporting them to them, right?
Yeah.
And I look at it the same way. If somebody's throwing a fire emoji on one of my pictures, I'm like, I appreciate that, right?
Yeah.
So fostering those relationships is great because I keep in contact with all these people, and I live by this saying in real estate that if I wouldn't do it, I wouldn't let you do it, right? If I have a deal going on and I'm the buyer and there's something going on, if I think to myself, would I do this? No, I wouldn't let them do it.
Right. Because you trust yourself, you're confident in what you know, right?
Yeah, well, you have to understand there's 70,000 agents in the GTA. 35,000 agents do one deal or less a year. There's only 4,000 agents that actually make a good living out of this, right? So with that being said, these agents that are all part-time, that have other jobs, that, you're buying the biggest asset of your life, right?
Right.
And how are you going to get somebody that's working at a job 9 to 5 where you can't get a hold of them while you're trying to buy $1 million property? Like, it's difficult. And I get it. If you're just starting, you got to make compromises and stuff like that. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's difficult for sure.
So kind of touching on that is like, now you're doing very well. What was there like 1 year where it was like, it just hit and it was like, everything's okay now? Like it's all fantastic, I'm going to be set? Or was it kind of like, I've just got to keep grinding, I've just got to keep working on word of mouth, I got to keep treating people well? Like, taking the values that your parents taught you and bringing them into real estate,
Right.
Did that help with cultivating relationships?
Absolutely. You always got to be on your toes in real estate.
Yeah.
Man. It's you do 5 deals this month. You might not do a deal in 6 months, right? You don't know. But I think with a lot of agents, they wake up at noon every day and they're expecting their phone to ring.
Yeah.
That's not the way you do business. If you call any major company, you call them at 8 a.m., they're answering their phone.
Yeah.
Right? That's customer service. You can't be doing that. Just because you're self-employed, it's a gift and a curse, because you got to be very self-disciplined in order to do this job, because nobody's calling you to say, where are you? You know, you got to call yourself to say, get the F to the office.
Yeah.
So, you know, I have a morning routine that I deal with and I live by. And I wouldn't change it for anything, you know?
So it's like almost like what you're saying is self-discipline is extremely crucial and important to somebody even just coming into real estate, or in, I guess, any industry, right? Like, I mean, realistically, you got to have that drive, that motivation, and that push to like just get in there, get dirty, and get the job done properly, professionally. So let's talk a little bit about like your clients right now. What are you doing to kind of keep those relationships going? Like, you know, if somebody doesn't do a deal with you for 5 years, let's say, like, what are you doing in that span of time to keep you at the top of their mind?
Social media. That's what I'm big on. I big on Instagram. So again, this goes back to commenting on their pictures, sending them fire or heart emojis on their pictures, stuff like that. Like, that's keeping in contact with clients. Right. And obviously you do the wine, like during Christmas, you send out some postcards on their birthdays, little things like that. But I feel like social media is everything in our real estate game. And I still feel that there is a major gap in social media. I don't think a lot of people utilize it as well as they could. Right.
No, I agree. 100%.
A lot of agents, myself included, I'm guilty of it too. We do everything ourselves on our social media, right? But we have to understand that it's not our bread and butter. I'm not a professional in social media marketing, which is why I have a few meetings like tomorrow and next week to hire some pretty big marketing companies. Because if I can offset that and generate 5 times what I'm generating now,
and less worries.
And less worries
like,
and
think
less
about
work.
It. Yeah.
Right?
Thank you for listening to this week's Golden Guest on the Meeting Gold podcast. If you learned something from today's episode, make sure to check out our other content on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, make sure to leave us a follow while you're there. Thanks, and have a golden day.